Welcome to the Roadmap to Secure Love. In today's episode, Kim and Kyle discuss managing emotional flooding in relationships and staying connected instead of reactive. Let's dive in.
What can we do when we get triggered? Say our partner says something or something happens, and all of a sudden we're emotionally flooded, our nervous system's in fight or flight mode, and we just want to attack our partner, we just want to run out the door. What do we do in those moments? In the Roadmap for Secure Love, Kim and I have talked about detour moments. We've talked about making space for our first response so that we can connect with our second response, right? But sometimes that means we take a break and we come back. But today we really want to talk about what do we do when we become emotionally flooded in the moment? What tools can we use in those moments to not react in ways that might be destructive or might be hurtful to our partners or ourselves?
Yeah, this is huge. And it's also very, very difficult because we have to learn a skill.
Yeah.
And a skill when you're flooded is not very helpful. Okay, so I often, when I talk about this, I talk about learning how to ride a bike. I learned how to ride a bike in Chicago at this Catholic church parking lot. If nobody was in it on the weekend, on a Saturday or on a Friday. And so I would go in and I would ride my bike and I would learn how to ride my bike. I also learned how to drive in that in
Hmm.
that parking lot. And so I want to learn how to drive there. I don't want to learn how to ride my bike on a train track. Because if a car comes, I don't know how to get off. So as we really start practicing these tools, we've got to implement them every day in order to make sure that we can do them when we're flooded.
Hmm.
So, which kind of stinks a little bit. I like things to be easy, Kyle.
I think we all do, but I think this is the part of the animal side of ourselves, right? Is we have these internal reactions which have kept us to live to this point, right? If I jump at a stick, at least I'm jumping because if it's a snake, I'm not going to get bit. It's the same thing that happens in our relationship. Our eyes are what scanning like what 0.2 of a millisecond for threats on our partner's face, for threats in their tone of voice, for threats in their body language. Not threats in terms of, oh, this is going to be damaging, I'm about to get physically hurt, but threats of disconnection, threats of my partner doesn't love me, right? And so these moments can happen so quick, and then all of a sudden, our bodies are going fighting back, right? We're chasing after our partner emotionally, we're pursuing them, or we're just shutting down.
Mhm.
And so these moments, there's so much that happens in these moments. And so we want to help you learn how to stop that emotional flooding and be able to understand what goes on for you so that you can talk with your partner in a way that's regulated, authentic for yourself, and gives your partner the best chance to see what got activated right there.
So we have to learn these skills in a parking lot that's empty.
Exactly. Because if we talked about if you're riding that bike on a train track and a train's coming, you're gonna be freaking out. And that's what happens in conflict is all of a sudden our nervous system's gonna react and we don't have the skills. Any skills that we develop, whatever profession, whatever thing that we're doing, we have to be able to know how to do it outside of the crisis so that we know what to do in a crisis. Same with firefighters, right? They have to run into a fire when biologically they're told to run away from the fire,
Yes.
right? So they have all this training they do when there's not real stakes. Someone's not going to die when the building's set on fire at the training facility. The dummy might get burnt, but it's not as high stakes. And this is the same thing for us as humans is we have to spend a little bit of effort outside of these heated moments to work on these regulation skills so that in the heat of the moment, we can tone down that fire and show up differently in our relationship.
Absolutely.
So, Kim, how do we start to do this?
One of the things that I do that might sound silly, but it really, really helps is that I put both of my feet on the ground. So if I'm on a couch, if I'm on a chair, if I'm like crisscrossing my feet or even my ankles, I just put them both down. I'm doing it right now as we speak and putting both my feet on the ground.
Mhm.
Right? then usually if I'm stressed, I'm going to lean forward, right? So I make my body sit back
Hmm.
and I take a moment to breathe. And I tell myself, like this mantra, it's okay to go slow right now.
Mm,
It's okay to just take a moment.
I love that because right in that moment, your body that's moving forward, that your feet's off the ground, it's ready to run. It's ready to not go slow. It's ready to go fast because that's what survival is. It's about being fast. And so you're reminding your nervous system that it's safe to go slow in this moment. You don't have to rush. I
You
love
don't,
that.
yeah. So I just both feet on the floor, sit back. And in my head, if you could be in there, it says, Kim, it's okay to go slow.
I love that. And that really, what I see is that helps kind of regulate your nervous system, kind of comforts it from that distressing place.
Yeah.
And so then as you breathe, as you go slow, as your feet are on the ground, how do you kind of start to make sense of the moment that just happened before you started to comfort your body?
Well, it's funny because we're always talking about, Kyle, you and I, about getting out of our head and go to our bodies.
Hmm.
And that's where the healing happens. But when I'm really flooded, going to my head helps.
Hmm.
I don't want to stay there,
Hmm.
but it helps. So both feet on the ground, I sit back, take a deep breath as I tell myself it's okay for me to go slow. And I look at what's happening around me and I go, what's happening? What's happening?
Hmm.
Um, what makes sense to me here? Why are we getting stuck?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Why is my partner feeling the way that they're feeling? I wonder what their heart is trying to tell me.
Hmm.
And once I can kind of figure that out, or maybe I don't figure it out and I have to go with curiosity, I take a breath and I share from my heart. I kind of think, this is an example, I'm role playing now.
Hmm.
Kind of think we're in this little argument because we're both so tired. And I'm just wondering if we could just like slow down a moment because I'm feeling overwhelmed. I know you've had a hard day at work, and I just don't want us to miss each other,
Hmm.
right? Or it makes sense that you're frustrated because you've asked me like 3 or 4 times to do something, and I'm finding myself being defensive because, of course, I don't want to let you down. I couldn't have come to that understanding if I didn't go up to my head a little bit.
Right.
But the danger is, and this is like my warning sign, if I could say warning, 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 there's a lot of us that feel very safe in our head all the time. And
Hmm.
so it's very easy to stay there and like be analytical
Hmm.
and give a resume of all the things we've done and, just dissect something. And well, you just said this yesterday, and now you're saying this, these words don't match. Um, that's not helpful.
Hmm.
So this going to the brain part is more just of like understanding with compassion ourselves and another
Right.
so that we can verbalize it.
Which is what we do in our sessions, right? We have our couples, they have a moment where they get activated, one of the partners gets triggered, and we slow that down. Oh, hold on, that's that cycle. Let's slow down for a second. And then we have in emotionally focused couples therapy this lovely phrase called tempo, right? What's the trigger? What's the emotion, right? What's going on in their body? Oh, there's an emotion they're feeling, but then what's the meaning? How did they make sense of this moment? Why was it so triggering? Right? And then we help them be able to understand that. And that's kind of what you're teaching us. How do I slow down, both feet on the ground, lean back, take that breath in, go to my head, and try to make sense. Why? What was at stake for me? What's this message that had me want to lash back out or give my partner the resume? Well, I was getting this message that they seem as awful person that I forgot for the third time. that I'm unreliable. So of course I want to defend myself. Of course I want to give them the resume because I just want them to see me as a good partner. But having that meta view, which is what a lot of emotionally focused couples therapy is, we help them get the meta view of why we do what we do, what's at stake for us. That really helps us get a deeper understanding. Just like Kim, you're going to, I don't want to disappoint you. So that's what I want to be defensive of.
Mhm.
That's more meta than going, given the resume.
Mhm.
And so what I love is being able to make sense. Why is this so activating for me? What might be going on for my partner? And really, what's going on for me that I'm wanting to kind of fight or I'm
Yeah.
wanting to shut down? And then going back from your head into your heart and comforting that. Of course, I want to fight this because I want to be seen as a good partner. Of course, my partner is bringing this up for the third time or fourth time because it must be important to them. Why else would they bring it up? Now we have a very humanistic way to understand what's going on for us, understand possibly what's going on for a partner, and then we take that action. We say, just like you said, I could see you've been really stressed, or yeah, it makes sense you're bringing this up for the fourth time because you really want it done. And I'm wanting to be defensive because I'm worried hearing you bring it up for the fourth time is that you see me as that I don't care,
Mhm.
but I do care and I'm going to go take care of it. Right. So that is kind of the recipe to get out of these really tricky moments that could easily lead to a vicious cycle where we could defend or we could fight back or we could bring up another thing that our partner does to feel like we're on a level ground.
Mhm. Yeah. And I can tell you what we're talking about is really hard. When I'm training therapists in EFT, one of the biggest things one of the biggest skills I'm teaching is how to kind of understand with the heart, understand with the mind together, but then to lead with the heart. Like, what is the heart saying?
Hmm.
And so the learning to ride your bike in Chicago, where I'm from, in a Catholic church parking lot, how do we do that with this? So I'll tell you what I tell the people who I supervise. Wherever you are, at a grocery store, on TV,
Hmm.
at a movie, walking down the street with your family, you're going to be looking at everything around you and saying, I wonder what their heart is saying right now, why they're doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
And I want you to get curious.
Hmm.
And then you can turn it to yourself. I just said a thing. Wonder why I did that. So go, everything around you is behaviors, and every behavior makes sense. So I need to get curious about the behavior of myself and of others. And you begin to learn that we're just people. We're just people. And we have certain moves that we do that actually make a lot of sense.
Hmm.
But to learn how to manage those, to learn how to speak, to learn how to really have a relationship where you're not attacking each other, you've got to practice these skills in the church parking lot when you're riding your bike and you don't know what you're doing,
Hmm.
right? And so that's a homework assignment that I give to all of my supervisees, all of them. And it is one that I do myself.
Hmm.
And I see it everywhere, like even with my animals,
Hmm.
their
But
behavior makes sense.
and it is actually really helpful. That was being one of your supervisees. That was one of the things that was so helpful is you had me do that, right? And watching someone, get really upset that their coffee wasn't made this precise way. Well, why would they be so pissed off about having this certain thing? Well, one, they could be allergic. Two, they could be really having a hard day. They could have been let go from their job. They could have been really running out the door and just trying to get this coffee, which was going to be their sweet treat to kind of soothe their heart for the day before they got into it. Right. It starts to make you, instead of judgmental, which would have been my first reaction, would have been like, that person's an ass. It's going, okay, that person is acting like an ass. what must be going on for them? That this is kind of how they're showing up. What's going on inside that they're not showing everyone, but it's coming out sideways. And that really helped me understand my kids a little bit, see my wife a little bit better, see myself a little better. And it's hard. It's hard, especially when you see some behaviors that you're like, that's not socially acceptable, right? And you got to look at that and just be curious.
Yeah.
But doing that starts to help us look at more of the humanity. Look at the complexity, right? Someone who cuts us off while we're driving. Okay, well, I could go, they're just a jerk. They don't care about anyone else. Or maybe they're late to pick up their kid, or maybe someone just got put in the hospital and they're trying to rush to get something done. Having that perspective, I have found also helps soothe me.
Mhm.
Because instead of getting riled up and wanting to flip the person off who cuts me off and scream at them, it's going, okay, I am safe right now. Yes, they cut me off. Yes, I'm upset about that. And I wonder what must be going on for them.
Yeah.
And that, even the possibility starts to help me go, oh, okay. That probably wasn't actually about me, why they cut me off.
Mhm.
It was more about whatever might be going on for them.
And this does not mean that we give people passes.
No.
Like, it's okay to say, like, I wonder what's going on with you. And to also say at the same time, something must be going on with you. I'm curious about that. Listen to it. Say, I'm really, really sorry that you're going through that. It's really unacceptable the way that I've been talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And I need that to change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can have compassion and curiosity with boundaries.
Right.
But if I'm hot, then I'm going to be like, don't ever flip and talk to me like that again.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, that doesn't feel good. Going forward, please don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Two different ways of asking for what I need.
Mm-hmm. Which gives that person, when we're able to do it in much more of that ground itself, gives that person a better chance of actually hearing what we need versus that reactive part, which is often going to trigger their nervous system to react as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're just going to have two nervous systems fighting, not actually understanding each other, but both fighting to be heard and totally missing. But I think this is the crucial part. As we get curious about people, we also need to prioritize our safety and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
We're not asking you to neglect that. We're asking you to be curious about these people and what might be going on, but also maintain and be direct and overt about what you need to feel safe with these other people.
Yeah. So we can talk about boundaries and stuff like that on another episode. But in this one too, we've got to practice in the church parking lot how to comfort ourselves so that we become the person we want to be in an argument.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways to do that is to put both feet on the floor, kind of relax your shoulders, lay back, breathe, tell yourself, I'm safe. Be curious about what's happening and speak from the heart.
Beautiful.
In today's episode, we covered key strategies to navigate emotional flooding. 1. Pause before reacting. 2. Ground yourself. 3. Breathe deeply. 4. Get curious. And 5. Communicate from the heart. Practicing these tools outside of conflict helps you stay calm and connected when tensions rise. Follow Kyle and Kim on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to sign up for the Secure Attachment Path course to explore your attachment style, uncover relationship patterns, and learn practical tools for building secure connections. Link to the course can be found in the show notes. Until next time, stay connected and love fully.